Okay, finally time to sit down and review the Black Ops 4 beta. What did I think about it? I thought it'd be best to wait until after the weekend. Now I have plenty of playtime to judge by, and I also got to see all of Treyarch's responses to the feedback, so if there are issues they've acknowledged or even already changed, I don't need to spend much time on it. I've avoided watching other reviews, but I'm sure I'll bring up a lot of the same things as other people, and I do have some perception of public opinion from reading comments and checking in on the Reddit sometimes. Like usual with the reviews I do, I tend to be pretty neutral, not gonna get all dramatic and pretend the world is ending because I don't like something, and I also won't pretend the game has no flaws. I'll just tell you what I think. So if you're looking to agree with everything I say, that's very unlikely, but that's okay, that's how opinions work. I'll start with a big list of smaller things, some good, some bad, and we will work our way to the big topics. But first of all, what is the biggest problem with the game? Not enough RCXD shortcut tunnels. And jumps. Okay, maybe that isn't a big issue, but come on man, those were awesome, where'd they go? Alright, there were plenty of minor issues I know I wasn't alone in. Things like, why are these damn lobbies so long? 15 seconds to pick a map and then over 70 seconds for it to start, what the hell? And what is that annoying reload sound that follows you around randomly, making you think someone's right next to you? Weird. And I didn't like needing to press square twice to respawn. That got annoying. I'd like to toggle an option to skip that and auto-respawn like normal. If there's a spawn beacon, I always spawn on it. I never take any time to look at the map or change location. Just put me back in, please. I know there were some framerate issues, especially on Gridlock, I think, on the older PS4s, especially on the first day before a patch made it much better. I didn't notice anything too bad, and I am playing on a day one launch fat PS4, but they are looking into that and doing what they can. Same for slow load times affecting the specialist draft. Sometimes you don't load in time and get auto-drafted and have to change. I didn't see any talk about the microphone audio quality in-game, but that was cool. People sounded really clear.
Telling him to stop his freaking Rainbow Six Siege and just play this.
Sometimes somebody would talk and I would think it was an in-game call-out because I'm used to CoD console mics sounding terrible. I guess they really wanted to encourage using your mic. If I'm not mistaken, that takes a good amount of effort on their end to have the audio quality that high. Anyway, small thing. Now the flinch, I like how there is almost no flinch when ADS, it means you can actually aim for the head, and with the higher health in this game, I love that being encouraged and rewarded. However, the dark red on your screen when you get shot was really distracting at first. I got more used to it over time, but I'd love for that to lighten up a little. Also with the bunny hopping, the annoying infinite no penalty jumping, that is already being addressed as well. I saw a lot of people really hating the free cursor UI. I did think it was a little weird at first as well. Clearly they wanted something that would work better on PC, and I agree some console D-pad support would be appreciated, but I really did not have a big issue with that personally. I found it easy to navigate around the menus and do exactly what I wanted very quickly, so I don't know, that seemed okay, but they did say they'd be improving it, which is good. The Fog of War minimap system is a little odd with how it paints enemies on the map in a little circle of line of sight around you. I do wish that only applied to people you actually see, like how CS does it, not just a radius. At least only have a cone in front of you. I know people have ears and can hear behind them, but that's what actual sound whoring is for. If someone is oblivious, you should be able to sneak up on them. Now I am very disappointed with the lack of crab AI. I thought this was a next-gen game. It appears I was mistaken. But I liked the class building system for the most part. Pick 10 is solid. I like the freedom, and I think they did some clever things with the attachments, plenty of unique ones, and the upgraded versions of attachments were interesting, like the laser sight 2, the quick draw 2, where you needed to use both. And it all seemed fairly balanced, where you can sacrifice most of your class to make an awesome weapon, or do the opposite and load up on perks, whatever you want. The operator mods are a fun addition as well, and if anything is found to be overpowered, they're always looking at their usage stats. I'm sure they'll be balancing things as we go. Obviously, certain weapons stood out in the beta, mostly SMGs, but that was quickly changing throughout the weekend and will continue to change, so really no point in me commenting on the weapon balance. And one more small thing, you can once again see your actual ping, not just bars. You can enable that in the network options. Thank you for that. Now getting into some bigger topics, the Killstreaks. Some can be fun, but they are weak in general. Man, it seems like that's the case every single year now. When is the last time anybody said, "These streaks are fantastic, I think they might need a nerf"? I can't remember. Why are we so afraid to have powerful streaks, but not afraid to have free specialist abilities? Anyway, that comes later. The streak balance is something they acknowledged as well, and there is a wave of buffs inbound for the second weekend. Stuff like larger Hellstorm lock-on, stronger lightning strikes, more sentry turret health, a strike team accuracy increase, better strafe run pathing, and more aggressive attack choppers. Really needed because they sucked. Something like the RCXD, super easy to earn, was maybe the most consistent killer on the list, a very easy 1 or 2 kills every time. Although they take you out of the game to control them, I'd rather have something I can call in and keep moving. But the top tier streaks, like that strike team and strafe run, I called in about 5 of each. In 5 strike teams, I got maybe 7 kills. Why does it only call in 2 guys? What the hell? Give me a strike team of like 4 or 5. If they did that, then they could afford to maybe reduce their health a little too, because despite how poorly they performed, I found them a little annoying to go up against. Then in 5 strafing runs, the second highest beta streak, I think I got 2 kills total, not each. What the hell? Is the strafe run supposed to do anything, or is it just supposed to tell you you failed 6 times in a row? Negative, negative, 0 effect, run unsuccessful. Oh my god, shut up, tell me when I actually kill somebody. I called in 2 strafing runs in this one game, and 0 kills with both of them. Then there's the top dog, the gunship, which is cool, but people rarely show up on the map. Only one time it went pretty well, when I made sure to save it for an outdoor hardpoint. The gunship lasts a full minute, I like that. I got 11 kills, pretty fun. But I mentioned people not showing up on the map. That's the thing, the streaks are bad only partially because they were a little weak. I think a large part of the problem is the cold-blooded perk, which I believe was on by default, and it isn't a bad perk to run. So that was annoying. I really hope it turns into a late unlock, so you have to go out of your way to use it. You don't just throw it on at level 5 because it's the best thing you have available. Also, a big part of it, many of the maps were very indoors. Contraband only has the 2 indoor areas around the middle, but was reasonable overall, but it seemed like Frequency was half indoors, Seaside had buildings everywhere with the most popular locations being inside, Gridlock had some outdoor lanes, but even then it had tons of overpasses covering most of those areas, and Payload was 80% building, just a big compound in the middle, so the strafing runs were doomed to fail, and most of the time you had no hope of hitting anything with a Hellstorm. That might be the actual bigger issue with the streaks, which hopefully improves with the maps in the full game. Another streak issue, placing sentries and airdrop markers was very annoying. For some reason the sentry doesn't have a placement outline. I want to place it close to the window, but you just have to guess how close is too close. And then the airdrop marker, something you don't need a placement outline for, has one. What the heck, it's like the worst of both worlds from previous games. In Black Ops 3, you just looked somewhere on the ground and tapped, and it would pick a safe spot for the streak to drop, no problem. And in older games, you could throw the marker freely, wherever you want, out a window, doesn't matter, and you would have to deal with the consequences if you screwed it up and your crate landed on the roof. Now, you have to pick a valid location, then still throw down the marker, and it's very finicky. The worst part is, if you try and fail, it puts the streak away instead of letting you spam click until you get it right. Way more annoying than it should be. Moving on to some other big game changes, the manual healing is perfectly fine with me. It took no time at all to get used to. I tend to immediately tap it right after every gunfight even if I'm not very injured, which might be a bit of a bad habit. I can see how you could consider it annoying that it's an extra thing you have to do now, like you might have to both heal and reload, but if anything I've grown to prefer this system. You can start healing immediately after a gunfight. It is faster than waiting around for 5 seconds doing nothing, and you can choose what to prioritize. Do I need to heal right now or do I need to reload? Should I push that guy now? I like the options that provides. Same with another much more controversial change from what I'm seeing, the 150 health, the longer time to kill. Not talking about armor, only the health increase, and I am fine with the 150 HP. I had no problems adjusting. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not trying to convince you to be like me. But the longer time to kill means you have to be accurate, it rewards headshots as well, it puts less emphasis on connection, resulting in fewer frustrating melty deaths, but there are still plenty of very strong weapons in this game. You can get double and triple kills, like if you saw me going over the auger in the operator mods video, a quick 2-shot drop. The time to kill is really not that long. We're not playing Halo here. I can't help but feel like some of the people who hated the time to kill were not using the right weapons, like they only tried out a couple assault rifles rifles and we're getting beat by SMGs up close and DMRs at long range. But I know there is also a matter of personal preference there, so again, regardless of whether you may agree that it's alright or disagree and hate it, we'll just have to leave it at that because we're not gonna change each other's minds. And speaking of armor, yeah, I am not a fan. I was originally going to get into it here, but ended up making an entire 7-minute video about it for some reason. I won't repeat what I said there, but I will add a clarification, because a few people may have missed the point, and felt like they needed to argue that it isn't overpowered, mentioning how the other gear, like the acoustic sensor, is much better, so stop complaining. I agree, I never said that it was overpowered. In fact, I acknowledged that other equipment performed better. I know exactly how armored works, I talked about it in the video. My only point was that it is an archaic mechanic that is nearly universally hated, and I don't see how anything about it is fun. It has no logical place in the game, it doesn't fit into an interesting or strategic metagame. The way I differentiate it from something like the acoustic sensor, which you could also call cheap, is that to use the sensor, you actually need to be paying a little attention. You need to be able to process the information and react accordingly. Armor, you just equip, and that's the end of it, and it leads to inconsistent feeling gunfights. There's no need for that, and it extra punishes sniper and shotgun users. I stand by my main suggestion. If the mechanic has to stay for the sake of AP rounds and not wanting to scrap it, okay, then I'd love for it to be gone from create a class and become a killstreak like the Modern Warfare 3 ballistic vests, a bag thrown down on the ground to support your team, like Crash's ammo. That seems to fit with the teamwork style gameplay that they're trying to create anyway. We'll have to see what change they have planned for it in this upcoming weekend. Sadly, I'm only expecting minor adjustments. Something like your movement speed is now reduced by 10% while wearing it. But I'm not looking for a nerf because I know it isn't overpowered. It just doesn't need to exist. So there's that. If you want to hear me go on and on about armor, you can watch that video. Now, how about the maps? To my surprise, I didn't hate them. I'm not in love with them either, but thinking back to World War II, the maps were my biggest issue. They felt like a bunch of really straightforward, confined 3-lane things, forcing you into head-on-head gunfights. I just didn't enjoy that at all. Nearly every map felt the same, it got really boring. In Black Ops 4, they were still fairly 3-lane, and in some ways confined, very SMG rushing heavy. I didn't do much sniping, it seemed like only Contraband had some decent, long-range, high-traffic areas to Old Man Hardscope, but the big difference is that I found I was consistently able to flank. Not only in the 5v5 modes, but in Chaos TDM as well. If I didn't want to rush right into the fight, I could play more tactically and take the long way around and shoot people in the back. That worked a lot of the time. There were high action areas and low action areas. There were routes and lanes that were almost always empty if you wanted to take the time to go around, and I really like that. Compared to something like World War II Ardennes Forest, I'm just imagining trying to run down any of those 3 main lanes, and you're almost always going to run into somebody head-on. So the BO4 maps are not going to be a major point of complaining for me this time around. Maybe not a major point of praise either. I think they could afford to open up more, and something I definitely noticed, and I saw some other people felt as well, is that it feels like they were designed for advanced movement in many places. You often see a thing and think, I should be able to boost jump up there, or I should definitely be able to wall run there. You could argue that they're designed to be shortcuts for Ruin's grappling hook, but you can't shake the feeling. Anyway, Contraband was my favorite map. I hope there are more maps where all playstyles can excel. What is cool is that we already know Jungle, Slums, Summit, and Firing Range are all returning from Black Ops 1 and 2, so on top of the rest of the maps, if nothing else, there will be some maps in the game I know I can enjoy. Undoubtedly going to be more remasterings on top of those as well. So I'm not too stressed about the maps this time around. Now it is time we move on to the final major topic, but it does have some subcategories. The fact that, as a whole, it feels like they wanted to make the game more like an esport, to gain more respect as an esport, more about winning and less about casual fun. The feeling that it forces team-based, tactical gameplay on you, which is something a lot of COD fans are not looking for. But first of all, there are a few things that came with that idea that I do like. For example, the predictive recoil. Like many other games, the weapons of BO4 now have set recoil patterns. Your gun will kick in the same direction every time when you hold down the trigger. I like that. Anything to remove randomness. Now a very experienced player can learn to pull down their aim very precisely to counter the recoil and hit their shots. Also, the ballistics are cool, having a hybrid between hit scans and bullet travel time and drop, noticeable at least for SMGs it seems, very easy to see while spraying in the air. That explains why you may have seen some kill trading happen with the regular weapons. I had that happen to me 3 times, where my bullet was in the air when I died, and ended up getting the kill on the guy who killed me. And the travel time doesn't have much of an effect given the size of the multiplayer maps, but it is cool. It's obviously something they had to develop for Blackout, and this does make me more excited for that. There is one big feature on my wish list that I think would go great with this theme of wanting to be a more competitive game. I really want a good virtual firing range or testing area. No mention on if they were planning on having one. Not only is it nice for trying out attachments without having to load up a game, there are a lot more interesting attachments in this game than usual. Stuff like high caliber 2, and different types of long barrel, and the recoil patterns people may want to learn. I really want a thorough virtual firing range where you can place full-body targets at specific ranges. There was only ever one target like that, I think, in Advanced Warfare that let you slide it out a little bit further, but it wasn't full body, and it didn't have features like telling you how much damage you dealt with a shot. That would be such a godsend. If you want people to learn your game inside out, and learn about the attachments and what everything does, this is the information we all need to know. It shouldn't be left to YouTubers to set up private matches with other people and test everything out. Okay, we made it, we're here. A large part of this esportsy hero shooter transition is, well, the heroes, the specialists. Of course we gotta talk about that, maybe for the rest of the video. And to be clear, I'm just gonna be telling you what I think about it as a whole. This is not organized in a way of offering specific feedback, like nerf the dog and the spawn beacon. I imagine they'll be balancing those things mostly off of their usage stats and all that. This video is simply my thoughts on everything. I imagine I'll be repeating myself somewhat from the review of the multiplayer reveal. To fully enjoy the specialist-centric gameplay, you have to be in a certain mindset where your streak doesn't matter and your life doesn't matter. All that matters is team play and winning the game. And in that way, I can see how maybe after a few rounds of balancing, the abilities and weapons could mesh together and counter each other and make for a decent metagame. Maybe make for some hype moments on the big stage for competitive. But that just isn't the mindset a lot of CoD players have. That isn't what a lot of people want, myself included. Although I'm not as massively put off by it as it seems a lot of people are, I don't mind adapting, I don't mind trying different things, but I am more on the side of just why. With a lot of these abilities, most of them are things that would easily fit into older CoD games as killstreaks. Map-wide vision pulses, full team health boosts, an attack dog, super buffed up weapons. Many of those literally were streaks. Think back to the guard dog, think back to the war machine in Black Ops 2. Look at how many things were considered less powerful than the war machine in Black Ops 2. Now Battery basically gets it for free. These powered up weapons and abilities are things that could be cool to turn the tide of the battle if you had to earn them. But you really don't. You do earn them faster by playing well, sure. If you suck, you may only get them one time, but everybody eventually gets them just by waiting around. Not like this is a new concept, obviously. Black Ops 3 is right there, and I played plenty of that, but it seems like an even bigger deal now. And the fact remains, I'm on the side that it doesn't feel very rewarding to get kills with them, and it feels like crap to get killed by them. You don't feel outplayed, or like you misplayed. Sometimes you just get one-shot by something you couldn't prepare for, or get helplessly stunned by something you can't counter. Say goodbye to whatever streak you were on or map positioning you had. That isn't what CoD is about to me, and it sounds like a lot of people. I've seen the argument of, well, they're powerful, but you can counter them with your own ability or weapon. But not really. Like, he gets a free kill, and then you get a free kill, so it's fair, right? But not really. That's an equalizer. If we both get a free kill, but he's a much better player than me and I just knocked him off a 10 kill streak with my ability, that doesn't sound fair to me. Having both Killstreaks and these free powerful abilities seem like oil and water. They don't make sense being in the same game. It really is one or the other, and you're not going to take Killstreaks out of CoD. You can't just say, hey, look at how these things work in Overwatch and Rainbow Six, how about we have some of that? It'll be cool to see how players use these things to turn the tide and take objectives. But when you're also trying to go on Killstreaks to do that same thing, that doesn't mix. Dude, I'm 3 kills off the nuke. Oh, plunk, war machine, battery got me, no nuke for me, I got outplayed. And then there's also all the specialist equipment. Nearly all of those things would be considered overpowered pieces of gear in any previous game. Mesh mines are strong, not like a bouncing Betty you can dodge by going prone. You need to be really observant or use engineer. The sensor dart, insane. Seeker shock mines leading you right to somebody. I know you can escape that with good timing, but if you don't, it lasts forever. I think they did it that way so that a teammate would have to come shoot it to free you. Anyway, cluster grenades really strong, the reactor core, the tac deploy beacon completely turning the tide of objective games. No Seraph on your team? You better switch. But apparently them being that powerful is justified by the fact that they recharge, and that there can only be one of them on the team, I guess? That's another thing I thought was weird, but understand a bit more now, having a specialist draft in every casual public mode. I thought, and still think to some extent, well that's pretty dumb, that's annoying. If you want to have that draft in your control mode and in S&D, sure, treat those like more competitive modes. But people also need places to practice with a certain specialist, or maybe even grind challenges depending on what that ends up looking like. You shouldn't be locked out of playing what you want because you were slow to load in. So I was originally wondering why it couldn't just be like Black Ops 3, but now I get it. You can't have 5 people as recon covering the map in sensor darts. You can't have 5 attack dogs running around, or 5 people with barbed wire blocking off every entrance instead of just 1. So I get why they had to do that now. But man, I'm just not a fan of the hero concept for CoD. I don't think it adds to the fun on the using or the receiving end. But at the same time, like I said, I can play with them, I can adapt, I still enjoy the game. I disagree with them, but not so strongly that it ruins the game for me. I don't want to see CoD permanently go down that direction, but I don't expect it to. If we really do see Modern Warfare 4 type of thing next year, perhaps Modern Warfare 2 as well, I don't see this being the new CoD standard. Anyway, I know this isn't a topic that is worth giving feedback about, because while I'm sure they'll continue to balance the characters to make them used evenly, they're not removing them. They are an integral part of this game. You could hope for them to have a playlist where the abilities are turned off, but I mean, what, are you really going to play one bare-bones mosh pit playlist for the entire life cycle of the game? I think if the abilities really turn you off that much, then you should skip this game. No sense getting angry about it. Speak with your wallet. This is how they wanted to make the game this year. Maybe the zombies and Blackout could make it worth the buy for you, maybe not, and that is perfectly fine. It's okay to think BO4 is a steaming pile of crap, and by all means you can be vocal about that opinion, especially about parts of the game that can change, that's the point of the beta, but if you hate the entire concept to its core, don't make it your mission to drag people down who are into it and enjoying it, because you're not changing anyone's mind, you're not special for thinking the game is bad, you kinda just look like an asshole. Again, for me, the abilities are not my favorite thing, but I enjoyed my time playing the beta. I liked it a bit more than I expected to. I had the most fun when I was with a squad and we were trying to win, cause that's kinda how the game was designed to play. That's when it felt good to pop the TAC-5 healing at the right time, buff up the team and take a hardpoint. Especially modes like Control and S&D are fun to take more seriously and try to win with a squad. The thing is, most of the time I'll be playing solo, which makes those semi-competitive modes not the type of experience I'm personally looking for. Overall, I don't think Black Ops 4 is a bad game, but it departs from what CoD normally offers in a few pretty big ways. So if you completely hate where it's gone, that's completely understandable. At this point, I don't know how much of the multiplayer I will be playing. It really comes down to the kinds of things that you can't tell from the beta. I want to know more about the challenge system and what that'll be like, and the rewards and all that. I also want to know a lot more about Blackout. That will determine a lot. I am far more excited for the Blackout beta and learning more about that than I was for MP. I know some people don't care, it's just another battle royale, Activision hopping on the bandwagon. I could not care less that they're hopping on a bandwagon. By all means, hop on the trend if you think you can add something to the genre. All I care about is, will it be fun? Will it be well put together and play smoothly and have replayability in challenges and rewards and all that? Or will it be a rushed disaster that falls apart at the seams and only amounts to a poorly executed clone? We really don't know at this point. The teaser for it, showing all those old maps and the vehicles, made it look like it could be a lot of fun to get some people together and play. So we'll have to see. I may end up playing way more of that than the regular multiplayer. And the zombies does look very cool as well, but I always say that, and then I never end up having the time to get into it. Alright, this has gone pretty long. I'm sure our opinions differ all over the place. That's fine, we are entitled to them. All of our opinions are equally valid, except mine. Mine is inherently more valuable. Looking forward to learning more about Blackout in September. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.